Okay, so about a month and a half ago, I had Alex Connell Collection on the show, and we talked through the flawless checklist. When we got to the Bill Russell tribute patches, we were both pretty enamored by them, to say the least. So I made up my mind that I wanted to get a pacer, and I knew realistically that Halliburton and Matherin would probably be out of my price range, so I settled for Buddy Hield instead, which just happened to be a Probstein auction. And it looked like there might have been a little shilling early on, but eventually I won it for a price that I was happy with. However, it did have to go through the Authentication Center, which was completely unnecessary in my mind, but that's part of the process and part of the system they've set up. Anyway, it finally shows up. I go to open the package, and, well, I'll let you listen in so you can hear my reaction in real time.
So here they are. Of course, they're congratulating me on, oh, you got to be kidding me. So I bought a Buddy Hield Bill Russell Flawless patch, and Probstein sent me a Malcolm Brogdon, and I guess the Authentication Center didn't catch it either. So, wow, I don't even know what to say. I've been waiting so long for this Buddy Hield card. I've been tracking it. I've been telling my wife, hey, we need to be home to sign for it. And they sent me the wrong one. So, yeah. So this is, which, I'm going to be gentle with this because it is somebody else's card. Sold for considerably more than the one that I purchased. So, well, that's awkward.
So, as you heard from my response there, I kind of just assumed Probstein sent Authentication the wrong card. After all, they're a big consigner, they do a lot of volume. We see that kind of stuff happen with them all the time, among other things. So, I rattled off a quick message to them in my disgust, and it said, I had to wait around to sign for this package, and it's not even the right card. Meanwhile, I posted about the swap on social media, or it might have just been messages to a few friends at that point, and someone suggested I scan the QR code on the back. What I found was pretty wild. I'd never seen this happen before. It was a picture of the Buddy Hield card I was supposed to receive, but the name of the card had Malcolm Brogdon's name on it. This was significant because it more or less confirmed for me that the issue was with eBay authentication and not Probstein. So I sent Rick and his team another message, thinking they could still help me out, what was I thinking there? It was obviously the other buyer of theirs, though, that got the card. So not surprisingly, I sent that message and it was crickets on their end. Well, no problem. eBay should be able to fix it, right? Right? So I called them up, and of course you end up with someone on the other side that doesn't know the difference between a basketball and a banana. Finally, I got someone, and they suggested I return the card, but they refused to tell me if they had any contact with the other buyer. They told me, I think we can assume the other buyer is going to reach out, which was funny because I assumed they would authenticate the right card in the first place. So I was done operating on assumptions, or so I thought. And I took to social media to try and find the other owner myself. And despite getting nearly 40,000 impressions on that post, my Buddy Hield card was nowhere to be found. So even though I probably could have held this Brogdon card hostage, a card that sold for almost 2 times as much as mine, I went against my better judgment and sent it back to try and move the process along. I added a little note in the package too to make sure whoever received it knew this wasn't a normal return. So I waited, and I called, and I waited, and I called, and so on and so on. The majority of them frustrating calls. I spent over 2 hours with eBay on the phone in total. At one point, I found myself humming the on-hold music on the way to work. I hated what I had become. And this wasn't a normal return, and they didn't give me a good reference tool to track it with, so I had to constantly badger them to make sure this was done right. I finally got in touch with a rep that said she would personally call me every day with updates. That lasted about a day before that stopped. Finally, I received an email with a FedEx tracking number that indicated the correct card was on its way. It showed up at my front door, and that's where I'll pick things up with my final video clip.
Okay, so the moment of truth has arrived here, and sounds like there's a lot more give in this package than there would normally would be, but I am a little worried that the wrong card is still in here, just especially the fact that those barcodes, like when you scan the QR code, the description of the wrong card shows up and the picture, like there was just a mess. So I expressed that to eBay, that to the authentication center, that hey, I'm worried that you're going to mess this up again if it actually does get delivered. So they promised me they wouldn't. They said they'd make notes about it. So like I said, this is our moment of truth. Congratulations on your recent purchase. Hopefully it's the right one. And here you go. I honestly didn't think that we were going to get to this point. But here is the Buddy Healed Bill Russell Flawless 101 patch that I've been waiting on for the longest time. I've been on the phone with eBay multiple hours for it, as I've talked about already. It's a good looking card. And yes, I know it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for both of them to be on a card. I've already explained in an episode why they're on the same card together, and I do think it's pretty cool. It's a tribute patch they did that year. I like Russell stuff. I collect Pacers patches, so it is a good card for me. So finally have it. Happy that that whole thing is resolved, and thanks to those of you that tried to help resolve along the way, be it sharing it or whatever. So finally have the card, and can add that to the collection. And I'm happy. So there you have it. Hope you enjoyed that. Remember, there are new episodes of the audio podcast that come out every Thursday. And as always, thanks for watching.